Hi, I'm Andrew Teague here from one of the co-founders of NAP, along with Peter Davis and Linda Turner, the founder of Dads Against Our Standards. I guess from here today I'm doing this video regarding a few things. Say it like it is. Okay, sometimes things come to my attention and I think maybe I need to put a discussion out about this. Part 25. That's where you can apply to court for independent social worker, therapeutic intervention, even reunification. However, the difficulty with these is the judges tend to cast them aside due to lack of education, lack of understanding, lack of insight, all the things that sometimes along the line we might get blamed for. Well, children get brainwashed, indoctrinated quite often when it comes to family courts, because it's the way that the parent controls the child. They control their mind, they control the child, they control a lot of what goes on using the child. They control the school using the child. They control social services using the child. They control CAPCAS using the child. So they inevitably control the judges by using the child. When we talk about children being used as weapons and it being child abuse, that's exactly what it is. It's child abuse. These children have no free mind. Here in Wales, the Commissioner for Wales has done this, the Welsh Commissioner has done this articles things that's in the schools at the moment. And reading some of these articles, I think to myself, well, if only. And read some of them and I think to myself, if only that was the case. Children still are being ignored. Children are still being cast aside. Children are still being used. Even when children are back in your life, they still get used in the background. It'll be, don't tell your mum or dad this or I'll stop your phone. Don't tell your mum or dad this or I'll take away this from you. Don't tell your mum or dad this. Don't tell your mum or dad, example, don't tell your mum or dad that there's a new man or woman moved into the house that's an alcoholic or whatever else. You know, there is not enough known about the children what the children go through. And there certainly isn't enough known about the effects this has on the children later on in life. As I've echoed so many times before, the self-harming, the potential to end up prostitution, drugs, failing academics, failing in relationships. And I think these are the things that need to be worked on and recognised, and they need to give children a better understanding of life at the age they are now, to help them guide through their life and help them to express the feelings that they suppress because of what goes on through family courts and indeed what the bad parent puts the children through. The healthy parents, majority of the times, are the ones that are trying to get contact, trying to get things back in place, that are fighting through family courts. Inevitably, what we'd like to try and see is that there's a lot less court cases, a lot less children being dragged through the family courts. I know the family courts stipulate that keeping them secret is to protect the children, but however, it is failing, seriously failing on that level, because children are used constantly. It's not only we know that, people in the general public know this. I've spoken with many over the years, and people don't agree with what's been going on, but they don't understand it as the PA side of it. The more damaging, the more future damaging that these children go through. They think, it's just a parent using the other one to get what they want and it'll fizzle out. It doesn't fizzle out. It doesn't stop. And think, well, if a parent has succeeded in getting a child to reject a parent, that doesn't mean that it's fizzled out. That means that that parent has caused the most catastrophic damage to that child that they can. If a parent leaves because of psychological and emotional and mental health problems because of what they've gone on, that doesn't mean that it's where the parent has got what they want. It means that they have destroyed a parent. No child chooses to lose a parent. They certainly don't. And indications can show on that with children that go through sexual abuse. They're still not refused to alienate, or they would still not choose to reject that parent. They will still look for the love of that parent. A child that has been physically hurt will still look for the love of that parent. A child that has been neglected will still look and yearn for that love of that parent. They will not reject them. What I mean by that is, unless the agencies get involved or anything else, if it's everyday life in the background and nobody knows anything, that will continue to carry on. However, when it becomes parental alienation, this is where children are forced. They are forced to make a decision. For better terms that I use, it's when the, maybe kidnap is a too strong a word, abduct definitely would be somewhere on the lines. They seem to abduct the child, keep the child in their control, and that's what abduction is, when they control and take that child and they hold that child and control that child's mind, they control that child's behaviour, to the point where that child ends up with, they don't like the word Stockholm Syndrome used, so we'll use the term, is this as good as it gets? That's where the child actually begins to think to themselves, well, I'm stuck with this parent is getting everything in court. My other one that I love so much and I want to spend the time is getting destroyed. And I don't think any child wants to see that either. So when we look at the terms that are used in family court, best true wishes and feelings of a child. True wishes and feelings of a child. I very much doubt the wishes and feelings of a child are to see their other parent being destroyed, being pushed into mental health, being pushed to the point of suicide and God knows what. I genuinely really don't think that is the case. And yet this is what these children see. They see it. They actually know. If we think that children don't know what goes on in the background, then how naive are we? How naive are the agencies involved if they don't realise what goes on? Best interest of the children. Best interest of the children. The best interest actually is for both parents in their life, helping them with the development and their growth and nurturing them through life. That's the best interest. However, the family court's best interest seems to be to try and stop the one parent that is being alienated from the alienating behaviours of the parent. I have to emphasise on that. This may not be the point where the children are turned, but there certainly are the behaviours there. And this is a learned thing that they learn either from previous relationships with their own parents, or whether they learn this along the lines from getting the information from people on groups such as Mums, Net Mums, Women's Aid, or Dad's Mums, or Dad's Aid, or whatever. I don't know. We're tending to think that, you know, there are more and more women going through this, but we also understand that even if there wasn't, we'd still have to look out for the women that go through this as well. There are men and women go through this, and I think at the time when we all start to realise that, and we start to, instead of bumping shoulders with the gender, that we actually join forces and lean on each other, I think that's a time when things will probably progress further. It's a hard old journey, trying to get through this. It's a hell of a roller coaster ride, and even attempting to get things out there is very difficult. I've actually spoken to media over the last few months, different ones, and the big difficulty they have is because it's children involved and because there are children at the bottom of it all, and they have to be very, very, very careful. I think it was one that sent a load of pictures of a load of children to one of the medias that deals with it, one of the publishers, and of course they can't publish them. But then they attacked them then because they didn't use them. You cannot do this. You know, these are things that it ain't going to happen. And one of the things we do want, every single one of us want, including the courts there, is to protect the children. However, the courts are failing to do so. What does it take for the courts, the agencies, and everything to realise the failures? We keep hearing the words, we are sorry, we learn the lessons from social services. That's not good enough. I remember seeing on a team leader with a 1.1 law degree putting a post on Facebook, mind. Why is it nobody bothers thanking us, or nobody says anything when we get it right? My instant thought was, well then, because you're doing your job correctly. If you stack your shelves right in Aldi's, nobody's going to bother. If you mess the shelves up and put things in the wrong place, someone's going to come up and say, hang on, that ain't right, that's not the way we want to do it the other way. Problem is with social services, what they don't realise, what they fail to realise, or certainly that one does anyway, that every time beneath the problem is a child. Every time. Every time there is an issue with social services, there is a child beneath it. And that's what we want to protect, the children. And the way to protect them children is to get them to wake up, smell the rose and see what's going on. If they're going to align with one parent and things come to light in the end, then expect the consequences. There should be more accountability in family courts. If people are seen to be, whether it's a social worker, a CAFCAS worker or anybody else, if they seem to be addressing and aligning themselves to the behaviours that are happening that are wrong and not in the best interest of the children and so on, then there should be repercussions. Absolutely there should be repercussions. We are seeing very tiny, minute indications of this. This is a scandal and it needs to be brought out into the limelight. The unfortunate thing with the Part 25 is it's the court's discretion. Well, there's no need for it. The social workers, CASCAF, they say there isn't because they don't want to be proven wrong with anything that goes on. And this is a part of the reason why a lot of things are not brought in. And yes, they will keep rejecting them. You only want a Part 25 therapeutic intervention, and they say, well, there's no need for that. And CASCAF will say, I've spoken to them, there's no need for it. I'm the top expert in the world. I'm a CASCAF worker, and nothing is beyond me. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that is why I have concerns with their child impact framework, that analysis that they are putting in place, which incidentally, Wales 79 of 101 attended. I agree, but I'm not I'm perfectly sure, but I can check on the FOI. However, going back in the beginning of the year, England didn't have any because there was no training in England, which is where Wales went to train. So CASCAF workers in Wales went over the border into England to train. However, England had stated there was no training in England. I think there's a little bit of a lapse in communication there, but hey ho. Anyway, there are other things I'm going to be doing as well. I'm going to be putting some of these on YouTube and putting them through on YouTube and on NAP. One of the ones will be over the next couple of days. I will be filming. I'll be putting a short film together, and I will be posting it on YouTube and on here as well. So if anybody's not on YouTube, please get on and subscribe or go and have a look or whatever else. Like it, thumbs up, or whatever you got to do on it. I'm not sure. But I'm sure a lot of things are going to be done as well. Anyway, look, thank you very much. Ta-ra.